Hey y'all, Cue Ball here, coming to you from St. Augustine, Florida. Just down here in Old Town, and just boarded the trolley. Gonna take the trolley tour. It's on and off tour.
I mean, you don't have to. Obviously, they're proving it.
But
If you're getting on the trolley, go through the gate around to your right and get in line with the guy shop.
She's committed. They were so close. They were so close.
we'll
I would have said
see how this tour goes.
Yeah, smarter than me. Okay.
Morning.
Right now you get to look at my ugly mug. But isn't that what you all pay for? My ugly mug. I think I'm going to ride the tour
That's the one that brings you from the other.
fully around first.
Oh, did you?
Kind of see if there's other things I might want to see or do, or if the town is a little bit bigger and more overwhelming than I thought, if maybe it needs to be a whole other trip, but at least I'll get a summary here. So we'll see how it goes.
Is this okay?
I was already logged in, so this was. Yeah.
Wouldn't be a Life with Cue Ball video without me coughing.
And everyone hear me in the
Allergies
back
really get
okay?
to me.
Everybody, third car, we good? All right, all right. We're gonna get ready to go here in just a few minutes.
My next trolley is up the road. Jenny, don't ring your bell. I'm gonna send this out right in front of you.
Looks like we're getting ready to head out. Maybe not.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, this trolley is now in motion. Please remain seated at all times, keeping all items and body parts inside. No smoking, vaping, or consumption of alcohol, and please hold conversations to a minimum so everyone can enjoy the tour. Now, my name is George, and you are on the Good Golly trolley. Golly. So we're going on a tour around the oldest continuously occupied settlement in the country. Now, we are 41 years older than Jamestown, and we're 55 years older than the settlement at Plymouth Rock. Now, this is a 21-stop tour. It is normally 22 stops, but the road is closed down in front of stop number 8, is the Flagler Church. We cannot go to that stop. Now, you can walk across from stop 9 and visit it if you would like. If you stay on this tour, it takes about an hour and 40 minutes to complete from stop 1 back here to stop 1. There is a trolley that leaves here every 15 minutes. Now, we have some inserts in because of the traffic, so it may even be quicker than that. There'll be a trolley to your stop every 15 minutes or so. The last trolley will leave here about 4:30. So if you need to get, if you're in town and need to get back to stop 1, you'll need to get on that next trolley after 4:30. So we are going to step back in time just a little bit to the year of 1513. Does anybody remember that year? All right, you must have been at the Fountain of Youth. Now that was the year that Ponce de Leon came to the New World for the second time. He came over here in search of the Fountain of Youth, and he had been told that it was on the island of Bimini, which is in the Bahamas. Well, he got blown off course on the way over, and he ended up landing just south of this area. Well, he landed here on Easter Sunday, and the Easter season in Spain is Pascua de la Florida, or the season of the flowers. Well, he thought he was on an island when he landed here. So he claimed the land up north to Canada and west to the Mississippi River. He claimed that land for Spain, and he called it La Florida. Also on his way over, he found the Gulf Stream. He found if you could get your ships in that Gulf Stream waters, that you could go faster. So you could put extra treasure or weight on the ships. You could also outrun the pirate ships, which were prevalent in the area at that time. Well, there were a few attempts to settle the area, but none were really successful. But in 1565, the King of Spain found out that the French had settled this area. So they had settled Fort Caroline up north, close to what is now Jacksonville. Well, he wasn't real happy because this was Spanish land. So he sent his best general, Pedro Menendez. So Menendez was sent over here with about 500 troops, and they had 3 objectives in mind: to run the French out of the area, to colonize the area for Spain, and to Christianize the indigenous people who were already here. You know, at that time, if you weren't Catholic, it didn't really count. So Menendez and his men, they come over and they landed here on September the 8th of 1565. Now they sent their ships away because there was an impending storm. So he prepared to march north and encounter the French, because who would think to be attacked during a storm? Well, when he got to the fort, it was very lightly manned, because the French had the same idea. Except they decided to sail down and encounter Menendez. Well, they soon found out that sailing in that storm was not a good idea. They ended up blown up into the ships, the rivers and the bay, and they ended up shipwrecked. So Menendez quickly took control of the fort, and on the way back down, he encountered the rest of the French, and he took control of them as well. So he offered them a chance to convert to Catholicism, but most of them refused. He also kept a few of the French that had skills that could help with the colony. But altogether, Menendez and his men, they slaughtered about 350 Frenchmen, and they threw them into the bay. And it was said that the bay run red with blood for 3 days. So they named it the Matanza Bay, because that is the Spanish word for slaughter. Now the indigenous people that were here, they were calling it the Bay of the Dancing Dolphins. Don't that sound better? Because of the porpoises and dolphins that can often be seen. But like I say, the Spanish, they changed it to the Matanza Bay. Well, after that incident, there were a few attacks on the settlement. So there was a man named Sir Francis Drake in the 1600s. He attacked the area. Well, the Spanish didn't have any kind of defense, so they ran into the woods and hid until Sir Francis Drake left. Well, in the 1700s, the French got their revenge. A French pirate named Robert Sears, he attacked this area, and he completely destroyed the settlement. So after that, the Spanish decided that they needed to have a better defense. So they decided to become a presidio, or a walled city. You see some of the palm log walls to your left here? Well, at first they just pushed up earthen banks. They pushed walls of dirt up all the way around the city, which you can see in front of us here. But then in 1808 they decided to better their defense. They built these palm log walls that you see right here. So this was a continuously walled city. And this was the Cubo line, or the northern wall of St. Augustine. Now they would plant this Spanish bayonet that you see right here on your right, and they would also plant bamboo between the walls. And it would grow up and make the walls impenetrable.
I want to know what the rate of success has been, folks.
Well, sitting on top of the wall, you had these areas known as readouts. They would sit in different locations. Well, here on your right is a Santo Domingo redoubt. The soldiers would camp in the middle, and there would be cannons in those gaps in the wall. So this was a continuously walled city with a 24-hour defense in 1808. Now right here to your left, this brick building here, now that building was built in 1910, and it was built as the school for St. Augustine. Now at first it housed grades 1 through 12, but then a few years later they built a separate high school. It still holds the administrative offices for the St. Johns County school system. Now this structure here on your right, now this is our historic parking garage. If you don't believe me, it's written right on the front of the building. And now there's not much historic about the parking garage. But the land where it sits once held the San Marco Hotel. Now the San Marco was the first hotel in St. Augustine. And there was a man named Henry Morrison Flagler. Y'all may have heard of him. He came to St. Augustine for the first time on his honeymoon. And he decided to stay and turn this into a winter retreat for him and some of his rich friends from up north. Now the most notable of his friends was John D. Rockefeller. So Rockefeller and Flagler, they were partners in the American Standard Oil business. And they made a fortune at that. And Rockefeller even said that Flagler was the brains behind that business. They said that he was a very smart businessman. Now on your left right here is the Renaissance Hotel. Now that is a replica of the San Marco. Now we are coming up to stop number 2 is the Visitors Information Center. This is also the stop for the parking garage. Now they have a small museum in the lobby of the Visitors Information Center that you can enjoy. You can buy tickets to all of our attractions there. But please wait until I stop and the bell rings. If you are exiting, do so to your left, backing down as you would a ladder. But please wait until I stop and the bell rings. Now this is stop number 2, and we will be going to stop number 3, which is the Potter's Wax Museum. Please wait until I stop and the bell rings. Exit to your left, backing down as you would a ladder. If you are exiting, using the uprights and the handles. Now we can put 4 people to a seat, so we may have to make some friends there. You know, a team building exercise. Hello. Y'all have your tickets? Okay. Oh yeah, I see it now. Yep. I just didn't see it. It's okay. No problem. Okay, so we do have no more on and no more off. This trolley is in motion. Please remain seated at all times, keeping all items and body parts inside, as I cannot stop to retrieve them. So right here to your left is those are sable palm trees. Now in the 1800s, the Scottish and Irish cowboys, they came through the area, or came through Florida driving their cattle. Now they would cut those trees down and dig out the center or the heart of that tree, and they would boil that and make a delicious cuisine. It was known as swamp cabbage. Don't it sound delicious? Now I've been told that they actually have plantations where they grow the trees for the swamp cabbage, but I've never tried it, so I'll take their word for it. Now coming up ahead of us is the Huguenot Cemetery on your right. Now in 1827, the yellow fever took, in 1821, the yellow fever took out about half of the population. Now if you were not Catholic at that time, you could not be buried inside the city walls. So they opened this Huguenot Cemetery just outside the northern wall here, and they buried all of the dead. Now you may think that's not very many gravestones for half of the population, but there could be 20 to 25 bodies inside of each grave. Now if you were the last one to be buried, you could get your name on the headstone. Now coming up here in front of us is the Potter's Wax Museum. That is the oldest drugstore. Now that was the first wax museum in the country and the largest in the world. Those wax figures are very lifelike. I highly recommend that tour if you've never taken it. It takes about 14 months to complete one of those wax figures. They have to get all of the features and all of the clothing right. And that hair is human hair, and it's put in place one piece at a time. Now there was a man named T.W. Spasinger who was the pharmacist at the old drugstore. Now if you got sick, he would make you a concoction of grain alcohol and spring water. And he would throw in a little opium for good measure. You didn't really get better, but you didn't care. And you would come back often for refills. Now right ahead of us here is the Talamato Cemetery. Now this is the Catholic burial ground at that time. Now this on the registry is one of the most haunted places in the country. Now if you're into the haunted or the spooky, we have ghost and gravestone tickets you can buy here. It goes out every day. You can also buy tickets to all of our attractions. Now if you're thinking about checking out Potter's, I have coupons and you can save money on your tickets if you haven't already bought them. Just see me for those coupons. Please wait until I stop and the bell rings. Exit backing safely as you would a ladder, using the uprights and the handles.
You had a discount for the...
I do. So just take this right over here to the booth there, and you can get up to 4 tickets and you get $3 off on each one. Like I say, just take it right over here to the ticket booth. We have a couple of seats up front here, ma'am. We have a couple of seats up front here. Okay, so we have no more on and no more off. This trolley is in motion. Please remain seated at all times, keeping all items and body parts inside, as I cannot stop to retrieve them. And please wait until I get to the next stop and the bell rings. Now right here on your right is one of those wax figures. Like I said, they are very lifelike. Also on your right here on the bench is a statue of Henry Flagler. Now that is one of 2 statues of Henry Flagler that you will see throughout the city. So we're coming to stop number 4. Now stop number 4 is the city gates. In 1808, when they built the palm log walls, they also built the city gates. Now that was the only way in or out of the city at the time. And it was open from daylight until dusk dark. So you either made it back in time or you slept outside with the snakes and the wildlife. Now this is stop number 4. This is the end of St. George Street. Now you can walk down St. George Street and enjoy a number of restaurants. You can shop to your heart's content or until you run out of money, whichever comes first. Please wait until I stop and the bell rings. Exit to your right, backing down as you would a ladder. But please wait until I stop and the bell rings. Y'all enjoy your day. It has turned out to be a nice day. A little windy, but
and the road in front of me is cleared out.
y'all enjoy. Okay, we have no more on and no more off. This trolley. Okay, this trolley is in motion. Please remain seated at all times, keeping all items and body parts inside. And please remain seated until I get to the next stop and the bell rings. So coming up here at stop number 5 is the Pirate and Treasure Museum. Now they have over 600 original pirate artifacts in here. They also have one of 3 original Jolly Rogers flags that are known to exist. And it is right here on your right. Also at stop number 5 is the Colonial Experience. Now the Colonial Experience is 2 acres of tours and attractions when St. Augustine was in its colonial aspect. They have a 37-foot watchtower you can climb. They also have a live cannon firing. Now the fort and the Colonial Experience are the 2 live cannon firings that you can hear throughout the city. Please wait until I stop and the bell rings. If you are exiting, do so to your right, backing down as you would a ladder. But please wait until I stop and the bell rings. Y'all enjoy your day. Thank you. Okay, so we do have no more on and no more off. This trolley is in motion. Come on. Please remain seated at all times, keeping all items and body parts inside, as I cannot stop to retrieve them. And please remain seated until I get to the next stop and the bell rings. Now right here to your left is our old fort. Now that is the Castillo de San Marcos. Now that is the 10th fort in the history of St. Augustine. The first 9 were made out of wood and they were easily destroyed. So they went over to Anastasia and they mined a stone material was known as coquina. And so they built that 10th fort out of the coquina. There also is the Matanza Bay here. Now you can take a number of tours on the bay. They have an original pirate ship and you can also take a number of party boats. This is stop number 6 is the Best Western. It's coming up right here. This is also the Harbor View Cafe here. They say that's a great place to eat breakfast. It's a very good breakfast place. Please wait until I stop and the bell rings. Exit to your right as you would a ladder backing down. Okay, so we do have no more on and no more off. This trolley is in motion. Please remain seated, keeping all items and body parts inside, as I cannot stop to retrieve them. As we make this turn right here, you will notice that this street is very narrow. Now this is part of the original Spanish design. So the original Spanish houses were a one-story house, and they had bars in front of an open window. Now they would funnel the sea breezes down these narrow streets and in through the open windows. Now that was kind of like homemade air conditioner. But if you notice the second story and the pane glass windows added onto a lot of those structures, now those were added by the British. So the British occupied St. Augustine during the Revolutionary War. They needed a location inside of the mainland, so they traded with Spain. They traded Cuba for St. Augustine, and then they occupied St. Augustine. Now there's a lot of restaurants right here. You have the Meehan's Irish at the corner. You have Casamaya. Here's DJ's Clam Shack. That is a great seafood place. Also up on your right at stop 7 is the Columbia House restaurant. Like I say, there's a good variety of different restaurants here. But please wait until